for all the people that didn't ask for this, there are people that did, so this is what happens when enough people says, oh, you do too many Let's Plays, you should do more aspects of gaming, such as reviews, or top 10s, or stuff like that. And so I'm like, you know what, fine, whatever, I'll do one top 10, and then all of you will shut up. So let's get this over with. What makes a game good? For me, I would honestly have to say it would probably be a villain in any game ever, because every story needs a conflict, and every villain in a video game brings in conflict tied in with like negative emotions of hate, betrayal, sadness, heartbreak, jealousy, all this rolled up into a tight wad, and it gets thrown right at the player. Like, it builds the motive for the villain to want to kill you over and over and over again. So today we're going to discuss the top 10 of like which ones had the best motives, which ones came across to me with like an emotional level or like a unique style of being evil. So here we go. Coming off with number 10, the baby from Who's Your Daddy. Now, this is kind of weird, but like anyone, which will probably be no one watching this, but anyone that's played this game will absolutely know that the baby is the worst. The job of the game, when you're playing as the dad, is to stop the baby from getting into so many things that he could possibly kill himself with. He looks harmless and, I'll admit it, kind of creepy, but the amount of things that this kid can do to kill yourself, or kill itself, and the amount of things that you can do to stop it, it's like unbalanced, because the baby can die in so many ways, and there's only so many things in such little time that the dad can do. As it is, you have to start stuffing him down with food as soon as he poisons himself, or use pills to like freeze that time. And it's all set on a time limit for the mom to come home so that the mom can keep the kid in check. But this baby is hell-bent on killing itself. It's evil. I know this is kind of a joking thing, but like I honestly had to put this on the list. Like, this is one of the most frustrating games I've ever played. It's just evil. I hate this baby. You know, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say number 9 is Bowser from any of the Super Mario games, because like he's a classic. You know what I'm saying here? Like, there's been so many of them, and there's only a few that he's actually good in. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm completely excited for Odyssey, but like, Bowser has done this, and he doesn't change his motive ever. It's always, hey, kidnap this princess, because let's kidnap this princess. Who wouldn't want to own a princess? And maybe she'll make me a cake, and that would be great. Maybe if it deviated from that storyline. I mean, I think it did in what do you call it, Super Mario 3D World, whichever the one was for the Wii U. I think that was the one that was different, but I heard it was terrible, so I never got that game. Plus, I had 3D Land for the 3DS, and I'm like, well, this looks just about the same. Why would I do that? But like, Bowser is just the cliche villain. If, like, I'm gonna be completely honest, if Who's Your Daddy, the baby from Who's Your Daddy, I didn't feel like putting him in, Bowser would probably be at 10. Because, like, he's just never, ever successful and never changes his goal. It's just kill Mario, capture the princess. That's all it is, and all it probably ever will be, unless Nintendo decides to randomly get smart and change that. Number 8. The Moon Lord from Terraria. I have so much pent-up rage against this thing, in the sense that this is a very difficult boss. It flies around, so you're already going to have to get the ability to fly near indefinitely, which is something very, very, very rare in the game. It's a rare drop from only one of the bosses to get the Cosmic Car Key, which allows you to fly indefinitely at a decent speed, and it allows you to attack while on this mount. If you don't have that, you're not going to live through this boss. No matter how strong you make your character, you're going to need that, and you're probably going to need some friends helping you with it too, because I'm going to be completely honest, I've only beaten this thing twice. And no matter how strong I make any of my characters, I can't beat it without the assist of at least one friend. Because this thing attacks relentlessly in so many different directions, in so many different ways, and it's so hard to dodge almost any of his attacks. You could get a person based around only healing and defense, and he will still eventually break you down before you even get close to breaking him down. It's insane. Mind you, this is the last boss, so it kind of makes sense that in a game like this, it would be very difficult to defeat. And I don't know if the creators of this game wanted to make it seem like you need to band together to defeat this thing, but the friends that I've beaten it with have beaten it on their own. So maybe it's just me. Alright, so for number 7, I gotta take you back to about 2013. Everything in gaming was mainstream, and I mean, it is now, still, and I'm talking about gaming on YouTube. But one game that everyone was going crazy about for about 2 months was Slender the Arrival. And so this one is going to be about our good old pal Slendy that made everyone scream back when they were 12 years old when they would watch PewDiePie or Markiplier play it. I think they did a great job with this game though. And with the first game, it was like too mainstream. Plus, like, it was just one level. It was simple. But then they revisited, like, in 2013. And they really went nuts with this game. There's just this constant feeling of dread. No matter where you are, there's creepy sound effects, creepy lighting. It's just an all-around creepy setting. Now, I'm not going to go into the lore about this, because that's weird, but I'm just going to go ahead off of what he is in the game. He drives you nuts. He's like everywhere where you don't want him to be. Wherever you need to go, he is in between you and your objective. All the way trying to get to this radio tower that you think is going to save you, because there are constant notes everywhere saying, this radio tower will save you. You will be safe once you get there. Spoiler alert, the one game that delivers the most unique thing ever, you don't win. At the end, you die. And it's not for a noble cause like in some other games. You die because you messed up. You followed the wrong word, and there was no right word to follow. You were dead the second you went into the game, because there's just all these obstacles thrown at you, and he makes it seem like you will accomplish something. You will defeat him by getting to this lighthouse radio tower. But then you get there, and that's just what he wanted. You're dead. Like, there's no way around it in this game, and I think that creates a unique atmosphere. Like, you're struggling to survive, you're getting through this, you're collecting all the things, you're turning on all the things that you need to do, going back into your memories and other people's memories, just to get to the end when you think you're safe, and boom, everything just goes pitch black. And it just creates this atmosphere of dread and hopelessness, and you're like, I just played a different game. There was no happy ending, and there is no possible way there could have been a happy ending. So I think villain-wise, that's amazing. Like, I think more people should create more games like this. Like, I'm not too into the horror genre in games. So I don't know if other games have tried to do this or if other games have done it first. But this was the first game I played that had a sense of hopelessness like that. And that just speaks to me on a personal level because it was the first time I had experienced something like that. But yeah, I think that would be a perfect spot for number 7. Alright, so this is a flat out spoiler right off the bat for number 6. So if you don't want in the game BioShock to be spoiled, I would suggest that you just back out of here now, because I'm gonna spoil it. And please, if you, I don't even know how it's possible how you haven't even played this game yet, if you haven't. But like, it's got the best ending ever, so just please play it, and don't have me spoil it for you. Anyway, number 6, Andrew Ryan from BioShock 1. Now, he's like, he believes in doing everything for yourself, not taking handouts from anyone, not listening to anyone saying, oh, do this for the good of the people, do it for yourself. Now, your job in the game is to go and kill him because somebody's telling you to do it, and he's ruining everything. And he made a city deep underwater at the bottom of the Atlantic, and he drove that city into the ground, quote unquote. But he creates this atmosphere of like, oh, I'm such a powerful man, I could have you killed if I wanted to, and if you're coming here to kill me, good luck. And then you get through the game, and he reveals everyone's against you. You're being played for a fool on both sides. Turns out the guy you've been working for really just wants the city for himself and wants you dead. And that they genetically engineered you to make sure all of this goes into effect. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Husky, you've played through this game, so if what I just said was incorrect, even though I played through the game, I don't necessarily click with everything instantly. If I'm wrong with any of that, correct me. But you're like bioengineered with all these different phrases so that they do whatever you want. And he reveals to you at the end that, well, at the end where he's about to die, where you kill him, that the strings have been pulled because of a command phrase that you've been bred with called "would you kindly." If you say any single phrase followed by "would you kindly," you are forced to do that if you are forced to do that command, no matter what it is. And Andrew Ryan reveals this to you by telling you to do all these things, and it makes you do them right in front of him, and then to the point where he says, kill him. So, I mean, I don't know what kind of villain would sacrifice his life to prove a point that you're just a puppet in everything. And I think that was amazing. You should have seen the look on my face the first time I got to that part in BioShock. It was insane. Now, Nier Automata has a lot of boss fights, but another thing, if anyone that's played this game will know that there's one boss fight that's toned, like everything about it seems much different than any other boss fight in the game. And I'm not talking about spoiler boss fights at the end, because, like, really, I don't really want to give anything away, so I won't even say anything on that subject. But there's not really much to say towards the end of the game, villain-wise. But this one villain, if you even want to call it that, stands out from the rest of the enemies in this whole game. And that has to be, without a doubt, the opera boss. Because you're just walking through the amusement park and suddenly... Now, the Opera Boss is my number 5 because the Opera Boss isn't even a villain. That's like the weird part. Like, if you want to count somebody that's insane as a villain, go right on ahead. But in this special case, I really don't see it that way. Now, from what I can gather about the story of Nier Automata itself, certain robots that don't stay on this thing that's in the game, that all the robots are like connected together, called the network, if they don't stay on that and separate into their own groups, they can learn human emotions such as love, hate, the need to worship, the need to find purpose, the need to find happiness. And this boss fit right into the category of love. Now, I don't know if you've seen any form of entertainment with robots. Love does not come easy to robots. So if it comes easy to one, it's not gonna come easy to the other. And that's the entire problem with this boss. This boss, from what it's very vague, the backstory behind it. Like, it tries its best to tell you without telling you everything, because then that would take up too much time. The main gist of it is, the robot falls in love with another robot, but the robot doesn't love her back because, from what I can gather, the robot that she loves doesn't know what love is. So, almost literally driving herself insane, she becomes obsessed with beauty and singing and all the things that would make her seem more appealing and lovable to catch the attention of this one robot. And when this robot doesn't, it goes completely crazy once it realizes that, and it becomes a bloodthirsty, beauty-obsessed robot. And that's something I can honestly sympathize with, rather than hate altogether. So I think this boss is completely unique in the fact that it tugs at your heartstrings while you're fighting it. It's like, I had to put this on my list, and I had to put it towards the top because the emotional effect that this boss gives to the player is just, it's damn near unlike anything I've ever seen in a game. Number 4, the Shadow Man from Black Ops Zombies. I don't even know where to start with this. It's not the fact that, like, he's all powerful and that, like, he's just betrayed you in Shadows of Evil, but, like, if you look into the lore of Black Ops Zombies, he's been, like, pulling the strings since the beginning. Like, back when you were in Black Ops 1, he was there, he was just never mentioned or shown, but he was always there in some way, and he stayed there from the first one through the second one through the third one. It's just he was only revealed as a character in the third one, which I thought was ingenious. Like, I was always a fan of zombies before they even really added story into it, or story that was easy to comprehend. But they ended up not really doing that. They didn't storytell that well until, I want to say, Black Ops 3, because everything was that if you wanted a little tiny bite-sized taste of the story, you had to do what at the time, for me at least, was near impossible and totally obscure Easter eggs. By the third one, they made it that just going through the rounds, they try to tell the story as you're going along and make you realize, oh hey, all of this has been going on in the background and everything is starting to line up together. And I think that's just totally crazy how they did that, because he's just somebody that needs your help, apparently, in Shadows of Evil, which is the first map, comes with the game in Black Ops 3. And then it turns out that he double crosses you if you do enough of what he says. But you can fight back and vanquish him from that realm. You end up meeting up with him again in Revelations, where you finally stop him altogether. And that's where all the ends of the story start tying together. And they pretty much explain the rest of the story. But, like, to a loose extent. Because I think a few months ago, the people who made Black Ops, or Call of Duty in general, released a ginormous timeline of everything that has ever happened since the beginning of zombies and put a little date with each one of them. And I thought that was the most amazing thing ever, because even before the very first map in World at War, they were talking about the Shadow Man and Dr. Monty. And it was just, it blew my mind when I was looking at that. So I thought that the Shadow Man gave a sense of presence and a sense of evil looming over your head, but you can't do anything about it, and he can't do much to you either. So it's just a survival standoff between you and the Shadow Man until you eventually have a showdown at the end in Revelations. He throws betrayal, he throws mind control, he throws insanity at people. Obviously, he throws zombies and other forms of evil creatures at you. But other than that, it's just a standoff of survival. And I think that complemented his character very, very well. And I want to see like more characters like this in other games. You all remember this boss. Don't even try to act like you don't remember this boss battle. And I'm talking about the Mewtwo battle in Pokemon Red, Blue, Green, Fire Red, Leaf Green. It was insane. Like, you get to the end of the game, and then everyone's like, oh, hey, there's... Well, I mean, you go through the first playthrough, and then you come up to a cave, and they say you can't come in until you're the champion, because if you're not the strongest, then, like, we can't let you in. And then once you get in, you're bombarded with, like, Pokemon that are now your level. And then you go through this maze-like dungeon to get right to the end where Mewtwo is. And now I could go on a long rant of how Mewtwo has an evil, powerful... Well, he's not really evil, because he's always a wild Pokemon. But, like, he has this sense of just power. And he will easily take you down if you're not careful enough. But it makes it worse when you're trying to catch him, because you don't want to take him down, but he can easily take you down. So it's all a matter of luck when you're catching him. But I thought I should just focus on the Cerulean Cave fight with Mewtwo, because it's right after you beat the Elite Four and you become the champion, you beat your rival, and then you go and you need to complete, like, you need to catch him to complete the Pokedex. So you go into this cave, you find Mewtwo, and you just start battling. And it's an intense fight because you can't kill him, and you can't let him kill you. It's that constant struggle that creates atmosphere out of every single time you encounter Mewtwo from this game on. And I just felt like it was worth mentioning. It's at such a high point in the list, more out of a nostalgia feeling for him, because Pokemon Fire Red was like one of my first games. I think it was, well, for the Game Boy, I should say. Pokemon game wise, definitely. It was like one of my first. So that's why I have more of a nostalgic connection to it. Alright, I don't think any of you thought this would be my number 2 or anywhere near number 1. But my number 2 would have to be Magloor from Kirby's Return to Dreamland on the Wii. Now, the reason I picked this is because he comes to you in a broken down spaceship. His parts are flying all over the place the second he comes into the atmosphere. And your goal is to get the parts, because he's so weak and can't do it himself, that he needs your help to gather all the parts, and then he can repair them on his ship to go back to his homeworld. But what he tells you is that he like got kicked out of his homeworld trying to fight some evil creature of all power, and so he takes you to his homeworld to go and fight it, and it's a giant 4-headed dragon, and it's wearing a crown, which that's what gives it its power. You defeat the dragon, and it turns out that the crown was all that Magloor wanted. Puts on the crown, and he gains extra dimensional powers, can bend reality at will, and can tear open like a giant hole in the fabric of time and space. And I thought that he double-crossed you to get that powerful without even the slightest thought that he might be a bad guy. Just blindsided me, and I was like, this is amazing. And now this is one of the first times that I've dealt with betrayal situations in video games, because I was young when I first played this. And I just thought it was crazy. And then once you knock him out, the crown gets even stronger, making him even stronger, until the point where he takes your super copy abilities and uses some of them against you. And if none of you have played that, super copy abilities are the main gimmick of that game, where like you get an ultimate sword. It's like a giant sword. You can summon like dragons made of fire and stuff like that, and he uses that against you. After that, you still find it in your heart to, like, I guess save him, because you do at the end. He just kind of flies away after everything's all over. And the dragons are now freed from its curse, because it corrupted the dragons too, and the dragons help you towards the end. And I just thought that that gave Kirby's Return to Dreamland a good, like, ending, you know what I'm saying? But now, Kirby likes to recycle bosses, so I can't say I would want to see Maglor return, because lately a lot of the games have had recycled bosses where they feel pretty much the same, and I would want a unique experience with Maglor, but I feel like the best course of action for that is to just not have him come back at all in any other Kirby game. But I don't know why, just this whole betrayal and gaining all power, just that, I don't know, that just got to me more than the others. If any of you even know what Tokyo Jungle is before I explain it, I will love you forever. So if you played it or have even heard of it, I'll go that far. Put it in the comments and I will love you forever. You have my respect, which is worth about, I don't know, coffee. How much are coffee nowadays? Like $4? Oh, excuse me. Anyway, I've been doing this for a while, guys. Trust me. I'm finally glad I'm at the last one. Tokyo Jungle. Now, this is distant future in Japan, where animals are infected with a virus that makes them go back to their primal instincts and completely overpower the human race, sending them literally so that they build a time machine to send them into the future where all of these animals die. But that doesn't work, so the humans are kind of like trapped. Now, they built robots that they left behind that were designed to exterminate all animals through a simple process in their factory by bringing them all back to the present, well, the present in that time, and then the humans will just kill off the rest of the animals. Now, your character, which is a robot dog, has a problem with this because they grew up with wolves instead of the rest of the robots, so they have their wolf instincts and have a passionate caring for the rest of the animals and the ecosystem that has now been created from this virus. So, you have to choose between making everything go extinct or fighting your brothers, the robot dogs, and keeping the humans in the future forever. So you either doom every species that ever existed ever, or just one, and that's the one that created him. Now, I thought this gave off like a passionate vibe because the last boss is a robot dog, but it's the one that you've been traveling with the whole time. The one that found you from the wolves, told you your mission after you had forgotten, and took you to fulfill what you were made for. He was your friend, and he could have been had you gone along with it, but he was created to fulfill one purpose, and he wasn't going to have you get in the way. So you have to fight it out, and you have to sadly kill him. And that, it's just brother on brother kind of thing. It created a very passionate vibe. And if any of you have played Tokyo Jungle, you'll know how intense the fights get between animals. This was unlike any fight you've ever been in the game, because this thing, animals do what animals do in real life in the game. They attack each other with claws and fangs and all that, or like smacking each other. There's no like takeaway from reality to this. They tries to keep as much realistic as possible. I'm messing up here, trust me guys, I've been doing this a while. But in this last fight, they had the chance to deviate from that reality and have dogs that are like shooting lasers out, shooting like rockets and energy balls at you, summoning dinosaurs and prehistoric animals with time machines to fight you and distract you. Because mind you, while this fight is going on, you're on a time limit because the facility that you're in is set to self-destruct by you. You thought you could just put it on self-destruct and leave, but then you got attacked by an army of robots and the one that brought you there. And like I said before, dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals. So I just felt like this whole thing was completely insane, and how you sacrifice yourself because you get beaten up to the point where you can't make it out alive, but you destroy the facility and save every animal that's ever existed, ever, or will exist. And I thought that that was a very noble sacrifice. Like, there's a happy ending for everyone but you kind of thing. So I just found that unique, and I really wish that they would bring Tokyo Jungle to next-gen consoles and work on it, add more animals, and maybe make the map much bigger. It was a fantastic game. It was for PS3, if any of you want to check it out. It was insane. Tokyo Jungle. And I think that just about wraps it up. Guys, I've been on this for like 3 hours in editing because I'm at the end. I decided to record this last. Oh my god. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. If you made it to the end of the video, props for you. I guess you really like hearing me talk about my opinions. And let me just get that straight. It's my opinion. So if you have a problem with it, don't take it out on me, because I'm not taking a crap on what anyone else thinks. I'm just listing off what I think. But nobody's opinion matters on the internet, so I don't even know why I made this video in general. And with that, good night.